Welcome to Holley Terminator X Training Part 25. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of our advanced fuel and spark timing tuning that we have available in our Holley Terminator X software. So if we want to go in and make sure we have some kind of a correction per cylinder, we have individual cylinders that we can go in and adjust for fuel and spark timing within our software. We can take things a step further and implement three-dimensional tables per each cylinder and then go in and correct based on a wide variety of conditions. There's going to be a huge amount of flexibility in our programming. We're going to be taking a look at a couple examples here, taking a look at doing individual EGT fuel corrections, going in and building out some compensations for going into positive manifold pressure if we have an alpha N situation or the throttle position based mapping. We're going to be alpha N and force induction. I'm going to show you a way that you can implement using our three-dimensional correction tables. We're going to be taking a look at doing a fuel compensation based on our idle control position changing. That's going to allow more airflow into the engine. Naturally, we need to go and add more fuel in relation to the air. So we're going to go break down a couple different examples here of how we can implement and start thinking about using some of these advanced fuel tuning functionalities we have in our software. So without further wait, let's jump into this video so we can check this out.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at working with our advanced fuel and spark timing strategies that we have available within our Holley Terminator X software when we're dealing with our fuel or spark timing. We know that our main fuel and spark timing tables are where we source the proper amount of fuel injector pulse width from, also the commanded spark timing the engine needs to run. When we get in a variety of different conditions based on air temperature and coolant temperature, we can offset the amount of fuel or spark timing that's delivered from our compensation or modifier tables we've already discussed in some of our previous videos in our training course. Now we're going to be turning our attention into doing some custom programming and some of our background tables that we have to work with to be able to compensate for things that aren't here and pre-populated within the software. So things like maybe EGT control or trying to offset one bank of a V8 engine to the other. So maybe at idle you're finding that you have two different air fuel readings per bank. We can even that out. Taking a look at maybe per cylinder knock correction or something like offsetting the amount of fuel we're delivering based on the idle air control opening. We'll find as the idle air control motor opens more, we're gonna have to contribute more fuel. The main fuel table may not be able to compensate enough. So again, there's all kinds of things we can take a look at here in this video. I'll just be introducing some of the tables and some of the concepts that I work with in programming in the Holley systems. You don't have to go and implement any of these, but it'll get you thinking about what you can accomplish with the software. So let's jump in here. Very first thing, up in the top, we're going to jump into System ICF. Under System Parameters, we're going to move down into our option here under Individual Cylinder Control. This is where we can program an offset in each individual cylinder for fuel or spark timing in order to make sure a particular cylinder is getting the proper fuel and spark timing compared to other cylinders. The situation where we might find we need to implement this basic fuel and timing correction control is going to be if we have an intake manifold design that starves or feeds air to one cylinder more than the others. So we might need to add some additional fuel or take some additional fuel out and or go in and reduce maybe some spark timing on that individual cylinder so it will run properly. Now these correction features here for both fuel and spark timing, these are going to be based on a global correction, meaning they're going to be offsetting, in the case of fuel here, a percentage of fuel in that cylinder for idle, part throttle, and wide open throttle. They're not going to be specific of how we're going to be applying these. We'll find that we have a table option here we'll talk about in a little bit that allows us to be a little bit more specific of how we're applying our fuel in this correction modifier. Same thing with our timing correction. We can offset either adding or subtracting our fuel or our spark timing against whatever the main spark timing table is going to command if we jump in here to main spark timing. If we're finding that we're commanding here 30 degrees of part throttle in our normal cruising area of operation, and we use our cylinder compensation here for the individual cylinder trim. In number one cylinder, we take out 2 degrees. Number one cylinder would be seeing 28 degrees in that cruising area of 30 degrees commanded in the table, while the rest of the cylinders also 30 degrees. So we can be very specific of how we apply our ignition timing, and again, how we apply our fuel, but these will globally apply to idle, part throttle, wide open throttle, which in my opinion is not really going to be ideal. So there's a few things or few rules I want to just point out real quickly here. If we're jumping into our engine parameters, depending on the number of cylinders that we've specified here, that will dictate how many total cylinders of adjustment that we have to work with here. So in this case, I've selected 8 cylinders, so we have 8 individual cylinder correction trims and 8 individual cylinder ignition timing corrections. So
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.